Hello everybody, it's Dave here, and today I'm going to do something a little bit different, although to be honest with you I've done one of these before, but never mind. I'm going to be doing a video today about a Kickstarter project, and that Kickstarter project is this, Kingdom Come Deliverance. Kingdom Come Deliverance is a game that is being made by Warhorse Studios, which is a development studio based in the Czech Republic, with all sorts of members from different backgrounds. Some from who used to work at Crytek, some who used to work on the Armour games at Bohemia Interactive and stuff like that, and then all that sort of thing. They are making a open world RPG that comes with the tagline "Dungeons but no dragons." And basically the general gist of it is this. It's going to be an open world medieval RPG set in real medieval Europe. So no fantasy nonsense. No, it's not going to be set in any sort of fantasy world that's been sort of half-heartedly thought out, but is ultimately a bit boring, full of cliches we've already seen before. No, these guys are making a open world RPG set in medieval Europe. With what they call period-accurate melee combat, and I think it's absolutely fantastic from what I've seen so far. It's a very interesting project. These guys have come to Kickstarter, for example, not because they needed this money in order to make, well, they do need this money in order to make the game in a sense, but they don't need to use this money specifically for making the game. You may be looking at some of this footage now and thinking, Christ, this looks a bit, high tech, looks very expensive. How on earth are they going to make this on only their pledge goal at the minute is £300,000 or $500,000, I believe. You're thinking, how on earth are they supposed to make that kind of a game on that sort of a budget? Well, basically, this isn't the money that's making up their budget. They've obviously when they first came up with the idea for this game, they went to different publishers. And basically the negotiations for trying to make it were taking too long. Their publishers were coming up with all the sort of typical things that you would expect publishers to say, like, is it actually going to be fun without any dragons and magic and stuff? And so they decided that they would take a different route. They have a private investor who is funding most of it. They, as they point out in the video that they've made on the Kickstarter page, link for which will obviously be in the description, that they have a private, backer who has funded most of it so far, and so far this, what you're seeing now, has cost them almost $1.5 million. So yeah, not cheap, but basically in order to, their funding is coming from this private backer or whatever. And the aim of this Kickstarter is to see if there is any interest in this project, in this game, from the market, from the consumers basically. And if it turns out there is, then they will continue to receive funding from their private sources, essentially. Which seems fair enough to me, ultimately. Because, I mean, it seems to me that they have this under control and they know what they're doing with their money. They're also being quite conservative when it comes to sort of what they're actually going to have released and in what time period. For example, they've decided to split the game into basically 3 parts, which they're calling acts, which are going to be sort of 9 months apart from one another. And Act 1 is what they're obviously going to be working on first. 9 months later will be Act 2, and then following that Act 3. They will progressively expand the game, make it bigger, make the open world bigger, because to begin with they are starting off with, I think it's 9 square kilometers. And the size is going to be their open world with roughly around, they say, 30 hours of play. And then that will expand in Act 2 and expand further in Act 3. But they're keen to point out that Act 2 and Act 3 are basically only plans at this point, and obviously circumstances may force change, and they may not be able to even do that. But I think it's good to see that these guys are being very, very realistic about their goals with this sort of thing, and that's one of the things you have to look out with Kickstarter, I think, is if you find a project that's being far too ambitious. These guys, I do not think, are being far too ambitious. They seem to know what they're doing, and they seem to have all this under control. So the game itself, well, I think it looks fantastic. I've sat down and I have wondered for many years, actually, why on earth hasn't someone made an RPG set in medieval Europe without any fantasy nonsense. Excuse me. Obviously, I like my fantasy RPGs as much as the next man. You all know this to be true because you're, well, I will assume, subscribers on this channel. But this is something I've wanted for a long time, actually, and I mean, it's been done before. In a few cases, I can remember a very old game from the early 90s, I think, called Darklands, which was a RPG set in, an old CRPG set in medieval Germany. Very, very complicated and very difficult to get into these days. You can find it on GOG.com if you're interested, but I never managed to figure out exactly how to play it without delving very heavily into the manual, as is often the case with these old games. But there aren't a lot of others, really, are there? I mean, there's Mount and Blade. That's kind of fantasy, kind of not, really, I suppose. It's set in a fictional little universe, but it's obviously based on, the real Middle Ages to a very heavy degree. And that was really more of a, it was kind of an RPG, but also it was kind of more of a war game, because it involved building armies and things, and attacking castles and that sort of thing. And there are going to be big army battles in this, and, castle sieges and whatnot as well. They're claiming, and they're also showing in their little gameplay demo here. That's obviously not going to be the main focus. This is going to be a true open world RPG, so there isn't going to be zooming back out like to a map, and then zooming around on that like you do in Mount and Blade. So, I think this looks really interesting. Really, really interesting. The history buff in me, obviously, is just dead excited to see something like this finally happening. And also the gamer in me is just absolutely fascinated by the idea. They are obviously taking a lot of influence from other games here. Obviously Skyrim, obviously stuff like The Witcher, and things like Game of Thrones as well, and all that sort of thing, and these in Dark Souls, I believe he said, like things like Dark Souls and Mount and Blade and stuff when it comes to the combat, are things that they're looking at and that sort of thing. And I think it's great because that's all this comes from a whole sort of subgenre of stuff that I just live and breathe, So I'm really excited to see how this turns out. So they're planning to release it on PC, Xbox One, PS4, Mac, and Linux. Apparently, the release date is planned to be 2015. Like I said, the first act is approximately going to have 30 hours of gameplay, 70 plus hours for all 3 acts. But obviously, being an open world game, I think that's very much based on the player's experiences. They say probably. I think Skyrim was once quoted as having around 60 hours of play, but I certainly remember putting far more than that into Skyrim the first time I played it, So, I'm very interested to see how this turns out. The gameplay they've shown us so far looks very impressive. Obviously, though, this is like very early demo stuff. Not even into alpha yet. This is kind of like promotional demo material here, like 5 minutes worth of gameplay, vertical slice type stuff that they'll be dealing with here. But it certainly looks very interesting, and they're also, they're making a big deal about how they're having a lot of freedom of choice, and how the quests are going to be very non-linear, and it's going to kind of just, I think respect the idea of player agency, which is something I feel that the Elder Scrolls games, for example, to look at another obviously very big and successful open world RPG, they don't really respect that very much at all. They are absolutely linear. There is very little non-linearity. Learn to English, Dave. My God. And I think that's really quite interesting stuff. These guys are very dead set. The impression I get from reading a lot of the stuff on their page is that they're very dead set on breaking a lot of old RPG cliches and trying to bring you something new and unique, and that, where take my money, guys, come on. Now, obviously, this is a Kickstarter thing, so, it could go pear-shaped, it could not, this is your own risk. Don't consider this sort of a pre-order, if you like. The game is not guaranteed to come out at all. And you should obviously be aware of this every time you go into a Kickstarter campaign like this. But if you are interested, then by all means do back it. I have already pledged towards it. They have got 27 days to go at present, with 10,000 backers, and they have already reached their £300,000 goal. At present, as of the date of recording, they have £323,785. So, to answer their private investors' question as to whether there's interest in this, it seems like there certainly is. However, why not generate some more interest? So that's why I'm making this video, and that's why I'm showing you guys this and telling you what it's about and that sort of thing, and raising a bit of awareness, basically, because the more the merrier, I think, with this thing. So yeah, provided this obviously does get made and everything goes ahead with it, I will naturally be bringing you lots more coverage about this particular game, because I am particularly interested in this particular game, I have to say. Of all the, I've backed quite a few Kickstart projects, but this certainly is one of the ones I'm probably the most excited about seeing actually fulfilled. So yeah, there it is. Kingdom Come Deliverance, people. By all means, back it if you're interested and you want to kind of support this project. If you can't or don't want to, that's absolutely fine. This is Kickstarter, and it is obviously a risk, and you need to bear that in mind. But hopefully, these guys will be able to make this game that they're saying they've been wanting to make for ages, but never had the opportunity because of the way this industry works, unfortunately. So let's cross our fingers and hope for the best, shall we? And hope to hear more from these guys in the future, and yeah, the links will be obviously in the description to their Kickstarter page, where you can find out much more information. You can view the video, which you're seeing in the background now, and hear the developers talk about it themselves, and just sort of make your own minds up, I guess. I'm really only here to explain why I'm interested in it, and tell you that it exists, basically. Try and raise a bit of awareness. So yeah, there you go. Thanks for watching, everyone, and be sure to go have a look. Even if you not interested in backing it, by all means go and have a look at their page and see what it's all about. So thanks for watching, everybody, and I'll see you all again damn soon.